Just for clarity, when you say disruption happened globally, are you saying what we currently experience in Nigeria is of a globally acceptable standard?
No. I didn't say it's acceptable. I say it happens. But where it does happen,
because it does seem like what is happening here has entered a worrisome dimension that all stakeholders have to, begin to look at drastically.
Yeah, if it wasn't worrisome, the Honorable Minister would not have done everything he did to sign the practice direction of the Cape Town Convention, and nor would the DG NCAA have signed the IDERA. With those two signings, we have solved the capacity problems. More aircraft are now coming into Nigeria. And so for every flight cancellation because of technical or other issues, each airline will have a backup aircraft to be able to ferry passengers. Now that we are resolving that particular problem, we look at the other issues as well. Because like the minister himself too has admitted, there are problems even on the side of some of the agencies. There's some facilities that are not, at par with what we have by way of traffic at the airport. Right. Those are also being looked into because we require a holistic approach. Not every flight delay and cancellation is the fault of the airline. And 1 year is simply not enough to solve all of the problems that, that took many years to get to this level. However, tremendous improvements have been achieved. And this festive season, for instance, would have far less disruptions than we had last year.
Hopefully, we're counting on that. I still flew to Benin a few days ago. My flight was disrupted. And I can't count the number of disruptions I have personally experienced this year flying in Nigeria. Passengers often complain about not being adequately compensated for these delays and cancellations. Is that something the authority is considering to implement, perhaps a stricter compensation policies for airlines? Are there recourse for passengers? What recourse do passengers have when their rights are violated in this regard?
To be honest, passengers who have sent in their complaints to the NCAA are well compensated. We have achieved a 65% case resolution record this year, the highest in the history of the NCAA. Regularly on daily basis, airlines are paying 100% refunds, and in many other cases, 25% rebate compensation. On the next ticket.
Hold that thought for a minute, Mr. Achimugu. I apologize for cutting you short. We have to disrupt our current transmission on the DSTV to bring you live feeds from Ogun State for their State Christmas Carol. This conversation continues on our other platforms. If you're watching on TV, just switch over to YouTube, type TVC News Live, and you can continue this conversation. Mr. Achimugu, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, so we have achieved a tremendous number of refunds and compensations. Not too long ago, even some of your colleagues in other media houses did tweet about how we help them, get not only their refunds, but 25% compensation, which is naturally a rebate on the next ticket, but it can be redeemed by cash, And so if you have a disruption like that and you feel you have a case, you report to the NCAA if the airline does not resolve the case to your satisfaction. For those who have been reporting to the NCAA, they have been getting these refunds and compensation.
So it sounds like
there are many cases in our record where passengers have received 50% and sometimes 100% compensation.
It sounds like you have to first report the infraction before you can be compensated.
Definitely. The first course of action is to report to the airline. Where the airline has failed to satisfy you is where you report to the NCAA. You have to report first.
So government has also introduced passenger rights initiatives, but many passengers remain unaware of their rights. Educating passengers, is that within the purview of the NCAA about their rights and
yes.
Mechanisms in place to ensure airlines respect these rights?
Yes, it is. And that is why I've carried out a lot of awareness campaigns this year. By this time last year, a lot of people were not aware of the existence of the NCAA. I dare say that a year and 3 months ago, I didn't even know about the NCAA myself. But in the history of the authority, this year has been recorded the highest volume of passenger awareness campaigns ever carried out, and we continue to increase the scope of our work next year as well. However, passengers also have a responsibility, to also look out for this information. We have our roll-up banners at the airport terminals. We have our portal. We have the barcode to the portal. Our jingle is on television. We are all over the place. We are on social media. Under this leadership, the NCAA's X handle has been very, very robust and vibrant in engaging. My personal handle as well, I don't even sleep, So the question becomes how much awareness is enough. When you purchase a ticket, there are terms and conditions to those tickets that you buy. The passenger's first responsibility is to read and understand the terms and conditions of their ticket. Unfortunately, a lot of people do not read these things, and that's why most of the problems that come up do. For instance, there are some tickets you purchase, especially through your travel agents, that are non-flexible tickets. If you purchase a non-flexible ticket, it means you will not be entitled to a refund or a rebate of any kind.
All right.
But most passengers are not even aware because they do not read these things. And it's part of the problems that we face. And so, yes, we'll keep doing more awareness. It's our duty, and we'll live up to it.
We're really counting on expanding the scope of your work because it's the first conversation we're having on Beyond 100 Days this year that I'm aware of. Perhaps, Mr. Achimugu, we should be doing this conversation more often. Because we have a lot of people watching this program. So you can't assume that you've been talking to my viewers, for instance, if you haven't been on my show. But that's just on a lighter note. Passengers often express frustration about the difficulty in resolving complaints with these airlines. And we are looking forward to seeing some improvement also in that regard. Quickly, let us touch on concerns about capacity of Nigeria's air traffic control systems. Is the NCAA working to upgrade this infrastructure? How would this improve, for instance, the efficiency and safety of air travel?
We are working, we are engaging with NAMA and, of course, the Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development. The Honorable Minister is, if you read his 5-point agenda and you study the trajectory of the work he has done so far, you can tell of his commitment to improving the industry. Every area of the industry has been affected positively, and of course, these improvements, like I wrote recently on X, the wholesomeness of the policies of Festus Keyamo as Minister of Aviation will become more glaring as time passes by. It is a very wide industry. It's not something that an industry that can be changed overnight, but we have made steady, sure progress. And of course, so far, the fact that Nigeria has recorded one of the most impressive number of air incidents across the world in the last 1 year tells of the efficiency of the Honorable Minister's team. And so far, so good. The improvements will continue to be made.
Closely related to this is the concern raised by airline operators of Nigeria as regards inadequate number of air traffic controllers. They said they even had to bring back some who have retired. What's your take on this issue? How do you think it can be addressed?
We need to train more people. Even in the U.S., if you check the news, even in the U.S., the same complaint exists as well. Like I keep saying, the challenges in aviation are global, actually. None of it is peculiar to Nigeria. In U.S., the Consumer Protection Department as well is complaining about the volume, the sheer volume. They are overwhelmed with the number of complaints they receive as well. So the ATC is a very important branch of aviation. And yes, we do need to train more personnel. More people, first of all, need to show interest in coming to aviation. And when they do come, training and retraining is very, very essential. The Honorable Minister recently did say that he was looking into this aspect. Today, I met with quite a number of young aspiring ATC personnel, and we are doing all we can to encourage them and groom them.
It's been over 5 months now since the DG announced plans to intensify investigations into reports of fuel contamination of some aircraft. Do you have an update on the findings of this investigation? Can you confirm, for instance, if this issue has been fully resolved?
At the moment, I do not have an answer to that. It's not my department. I'll need to speak to the relevant directors.
All right. Thank you for being honest. Ekiti Airport certification, but what the NCAA is saying is that it has been certified for non-scheduled flight. What does that mean?
Yeah, non-scheduled flights really mostly is about, as well as the word implies, the phrase implies, it's for non-commercial flights, private flights, and a few VIP landings and all of that. There's still some requirements to be fulfilled before it is certified for full commercial operations.
So usually how long before it operates fully as an airport?
Well, there isn't a specific time frame. As soon as they satisfy all the requirements, under Captain Chris Najomo, the NCAA, ease of doing business has been his main mantra. And, these processes for AOC, Air Operator Certificate, in the past used to take at least 2.5 years. But under his leadership, it could be as fast as 3 months, but without compromising standards and quality. That is the point. So as soon as all of the conditions are met, certification will be granted.
Let's touch on pilot training and capacity. There are concerns that a large number of aircraft pilots are expected to retire from active service in the next 2 years thereabout, and that it doesn't seem that we have adequate replacements for them. Are there initiatives the NCAA is implementing to address pilot training and capacity issues, and how would these, impact directly on safety and efficiency of air travel for us in Nigeria?
I don't know that the NCA's responsibility is to initiate. The responsibility of the authority is to certify and to license those who have been trained for it. However, the DTCA recently, spoke about this topic. I will check back with him again, and revert, be able to speak better about this topic. But yes, one must admit that across board, we do need to train more hands.
But the NCAA would
again,
be...
it's also, again, global, because why else would there be Nigerian pilots flying planes overseas if abroad they also had enough pilots? So it's a global thing, actually, but we are working. I think that in Nigeria, we don't have it too bad as of this moment.
But I'm sure the NCAA will be worried if we don't have enough pilots, because what's the essence
Definitely.
It will be a major issue. There's also the issue of aircraft maintenance. Concerns about poor maintenance culture of some of Nigerian airlines. Are we addressing this issue headlong? What measures really are being put in place to ensure we prioritize aircraft maintenance?
Well, safety and security is the core mandate of the NCAA. We do not joke with safety. The NCAA inspectors are on the top of their game. It's part of why Nigeria is blessed with extremely very low number of air incidents. I don't see a major problem in that regard. Where the problem may be will be outside the control of the NCAA. Issues like the dollar rate, for instance, because most of these airlines have to go for their C checks abroad, where they pay top dollar for those for the maintenance of their aircraft. And so the issue of dollar rate can become a problem sometimes, but that's not the purview of the NCAA to handle.
There are some other developments as regards the minimum requirement aircraft for airline operators. I think the NCAA pegged it at 6, but there's a proposed bill now before the National Assembly that is seeking to review that number to as few as 4 to 5 aircraft. So what's the authority's position on this?
Well, yes, the number has always been 6. But you see, where ease of doing business comes in, you have to be able to balance certain decisions. For instance, a new airline says to you, we only want to be operating Lagos-Ibadan. Why would they need 6 aircraft to do that? They don't need 6 aircraft. So if that's the sector they are going to be operating, and that can easily, conveniently be done with 3, 4, 5 aircraft, then why not open the business for them? If the business is is open to competition, at the end of the day, it's better for the Nigerian passenger.
Indeed.
You know, because they'll be spoiled for choices and airfares will come down. So why not?
We have just about 2 more minutes to go. But I'll need you to answer these. And it has to do with
You have to be fair to me. Those of us who are staffers at the NCAA are not responsible for appointing our DGCA. We are focused on carrying out our duties, and the federal government and the Honorable Minister will be making announcements about appointments, you know, and the likes. It's not my purview as well to speak about.
Well, I'm just referring to the act upon which these appointments are made and the expectation that whatever happens there has to be in accordance with the law. They say every other agency, for instance, has substantive heads. And why is the NCAA an exemption? That isn't a conversation within the authority?
No, that's not our duty.
All right.
We are focused on carrying out our jobs, please.
I was expecting just that. Director of Consumer Protection, NCA, Michael Achimugu, thank you so much for your contribution on the program this evening. You should come around more often so we can have this conversation.
I will. Thank you.
That's our show today, everyone. You can watch it again at midnight and 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am